Hey guys, welcome to yet another draft pick video for the upcoming Marvel Rivals. I'll be making this into a series, so if you like the content, feel free to stick around for future videos. Jonathan Blaze, aka Johnny Blaze, is an American motorcycle stunt performer and entertainer turned spirit of vengeance known as Ghost Rider. Having been abandoned by his alcoholic mother in his younger years and losing his father to a stunt incident, Johnny gets taken in by the owner of his father's motorcycle show, Crash Simpson, and his wife, Mona, who would raise him as their own alongside their daughter, Roxanne. While Roxanne and Johnny are practicing a stunt one day, the motorcycle catches fire and collides with a tree, exploding and gravely injuring Mona. While on her deathbed, Mona makes Johnny promise never to do the stunt show again. A few years pass by, and Johnny discovers that Crash is diagnosed with a terminal cancer. Johnny turns to the occult to try and save his foster father's life and summoning the demon lord Mephisto. Johnny agrees to sell his soul to Mephisto in exchange for removing his father's terminal cancer, unknowingly becoming bound to the spirit of vengeance, Zarathos, thus becoming the Ghost Rider. Having a new lease on life after beating the cancer, Crash then goes on to set up an amazing new stunt. However, 3 weeks later he dies to that stunt trying to jump over 22 limousines. Now, Ghost Rider is another character many would like to see in Rivals, and I agree. However, just putting him into the damage category is a bit lackluster and not that really of a unique idea. Putting him in the tank category, however, opens up a whole new possibilities of the way he could be played. Besides, what's a hero shooter without that one tank character that can whip out a chain and dislocate you from your entire team and deleting you from the game? And who better to do that than the guy with the flaming skull and chains covered in fire? Ghost Rider is a melee tank that utilizes his spirit change to dish out vengeance towards his enemies. Ghost Rider's passive is called Hellfire. This provides him with shields upon damaging enemies, with abilities, or with the spirit chain melee attacks. At first I thought, maybe the Hellfire could apply anti-heal to enemies, but then I thought that would be a bit too broken, having an entire kit just reduce healing on enemies. And then I remembered Magik from the trailer, who could gain shields upon damaging enemies with her abilities and her sword. And I thought that would make a pretty good passive for Ghost Rider as well, seemingly as he also uses Hellfire. Ghost Rider's first ability is called Lacerate. He whips his chains that slashes an area, leaving Hellfire in its wake, burning for 3 seconds. Enemies who step into this Hellfire take damage for the duration that they're in the fire. This also applies his passive, allowing him to gain shields, and is on a 10-second cooldown. Ghost Rider's second ability is called Vengeance Grasp. Ghost Rider throws out one single chain to wrap around an enemy and pulls them towards him, similar to how Rodok's hook functions in Overwatch. This is on an 8-second cooldown and also applies his passive Hellfire. Ghost Rider's third ability is called Mount. This allows him to mount his cycle in-game, giving him an extra movement speed boost, leaving a trail of Hellfire behind him as he moves on the battlefield. Now obviously I had to include the bike into the game. I mean, it's Ghost Rider. How else would you have Ghost Rider just walking around with his chains? You have to have the cycle. This ties to Ghost Rider's fourth ability, which is called Charge. If Ghost Rider is mounted, the bike will charge towards an enemy, knocking them back immediately. However, if he is not mounted onto his bike, this ability has a short charge up time before the bike eventually arrives at his location, knocking back enemies. which also applies Hellfire because the bike is, well, covered in Hellfire. I've not provided any cooldowns for these abilities because I'm not sure how I would balance around the mount ability, but I guess the charge could be put on a 12-second cooldown because it is a CC ability. But as for mount itself, I'd like to think that NetEase could provide this as like a toggle ability so that you could ride around on the battlefield, but I'm not sure how strong that will be in a game like this. Now on to Ghost Rider's ultimate is called, you guessed it, Penance Stare. Can't have Ghost Rider without Penance Stare. That's just like Ghost Rider without his bike. That just doesn't make sense. Penance Stare applies a tremendous slow on enemies as well as draining their HP, thus giving Ghost Rider a lot more shields. This is a bit strong for an ultimate, especially on a tank, but I feel like it's also a really good CC tool. For skins, Ghost Rider has many iconic looks. I obviously would like them to lean more into creative ideas with his mount. I'd love to see a cowboy Ghost Rider with the mount being a horse. Maybe they could include another one where it's the charger. I think one of Ghost Rider iterations has a charger. I think that would also be a really cool idea, though I'm not sure how a car would translate well into this game. And obviously you can do a lot of things with different kinds of bikes as well. Ghost Rider is a really cool character. Most people know who he is. I mean, you've seen the Nick Cage films. Some of you have read the comics. He's prevalent in pretty much a lot of games. And obviously he's been in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So there's a lot of hype around a character like this. And like I said, I tried not to include a lot of big names. But I feel like Ghost Rider is a slight exception, only due to the reason that he could be a really interesting character in the tank category. That's all I've got on my side today, guys. Feel free to subscribe and stick around for future videos. Hit the thumbs up button if you found this interesting, and I'll see you guys on the next one.